Walk and talk. Okay, so I wanted to go for a walk and have a chat. I'm not intentionally trying to do a Casey Neistat with these sunglasses, but I've got really baby little eyes and it's sunny out. So today I wanted to talk about juggling multiple jobs, especially when you're someone who does something in the creative fields. You might not always manage to make that your main source of income or a large enough source of income to do it full time, or maybe you don't want to do it full time. Either way, for a lot of us, what we do is we probably do the day job we had when we started working. So for me, that was working in a retail store, and when I was 18, 17, some of those places were fast food places as well, but I eventually just worked that retail store. Nowadays, I am currently 23. I'm going to be 24 in a month, and this year I've been working one retail job, one hospitality job at the same time, and my acting work. I think I want to clarify something, which is the way you talk about yourself and the work that you do. I think that it's important, and I've tried to be conscious of this, that if you are, so for me, an actor, that if you're an actor, to talk about yourself as being an actor. It doesn't mean that you're pretentious, it doesn't mean that you're better than anybody else or that you think you are. If it's the truth, then it's the truth, you know, you're a performer, or maybe you're a writer or a dancer or something, a musician. And I think most people are understanding enough, maybe in an accidentally insulting way, that that's probably not going to be your main source of money. You know, when people say the old question, what do you do? I think it's reflective of how you answer that question. For some people, they don't want to talk about it because it's a bit of a shitty question. It means, what do you do for money? Not what do you like to do, or what do you want to, what's meaningful work to you? When people ask me, what do you do? Usually it's people that don't know me and we're getting to know each other. If it's not obvious, like we're on set or in rehearsal or something, then I'll usually say I'm an actor, and sometimes clarify that by saying, well, I also work in hospitality and a retail job as well. That's usually the thing that they think you're going to respond with. That comes with its own set of ways you might want to talk about these things. Maybe you want to bring up the fact that you work in a cafe first, but you also happen to act. I think it really depends on your opinion of yourself, of your work, and where you are in that stage. Maybe you don't feel comfortable calling yourself that thing yet. Maybe you want to be at a certain place before you start labeling yourself that. I think that if you're serious about it, then why shouldn't you declare it? Again, it's not about feeling superior, it's just the truth, isn't it? So that's my thoughts on the question of what do you do, which is not a very good question in my opinion. Here's where I think a lot of people will be, is that we'll probably have one main day job, right? You might work in a shop, you might work in a cafe, or whatever. If you need the flexibility to do your creative work, especially if it's something that you can't always do on your own time, you have to do it with other people. Like for me, working on set, that depends on an entire film crew and a director and production schedules and everything like that. I have to be available for that too, and it is tricky to work many jobs that might pay better or have better security then something that can be flexible enough and sometimes insecure enough to go, hey, I need 4 days off next week to go, you know, do something, which is shooting a movie. And I think that's going to be the most common scenario for most people. Then there might be working 2 casual jobs like that in my opinion would only be most useful if they kind of add up to the same thing as one casual job in terms of pay or hours that you need to survive and everything. Because at the moment, working 2 casual jobs towards Christmas and trying to do acting work that isn't always paid, it's fucking stressful, dude. Calendars. Hot tip. I don't think he liked me very much. Hot tip, use a calendar. I use Google Calendar. I sync it with my emails and everything. As soon as I find out about anything that needs to be scheduled, put it in immediately. Immediately. You will forget. You won't remember where it is. You remember what it is, how long it goes for. You will forget. Just put it in your calendar, and it's great, especially if you can get something that you can link or share to people, like, when are you available? Here's a link to my calendar. Then comes something that I think that is nearly as much work as doing the thing you want to do in the first place, which would be doing something as closely related to what you want to do as possible, usually in a teaching context. So if you were either trained or competent enough or had recommendations to teach or coach something, for me, again, acting, that could be, for an actor, it could be acting lessons, it could be voice lessons, it could be something like that. That would be a possibility. That is Nowhere Espresso, my favorite cafe in the suburb I live in. That was for real not smart to do. I think I tweaked my back. Where I'm standing now is outside of a cafe I love called Nowhere Espresso. It's run by 2 killer women, Erica and Emily, and they're coming up on a year of their cafe here. So they're some people that have shown that entrepreneurial spirit, you know, the grind and the hustle and all that cool stuff. But they'll tell you, and I hope to have them on the podcast sometime, that there's the work of, you know, working at the cafe, and then there's all the other work of being your own boss. It doesn't make it easy that you are your own boss. You're kind of always at work. How good is this tree? So all of that being said, I think that there's a few things that can be done if you want to optimize or maximize, or at least make this not as difficult as it can be for yourself. So one is to be as organized as possible. One thing to start with, if you aren't already, is to use a calendar and to structure your time as efficiently as possible, with as much foresight as possible, to be really accountable for your time, including travel, whether that's public or your own, and getting to and from places. You know, if you can't even be somewhere, then it doesn't really matter what you're going to do there. Be a good communicator in your emails, in your phone calls, in your text messages, in person, however you're communicating between your dream job, your passion, whatever that is, your day job, whoever you're talking to. Be clear, be concise, be negotiable, but also be able to stand up for yourself. If you need time off, you need time off. If you need to make it up later, make it up later. There might come a time where you're going to have to make the decision to quit. You might be at a point where you can make enough money doing the thing that you like. Even if it's more work for you, in the long run, it's more enjoyable, and therefore it kind of makes up for the fact that it might not pay as much. There are some friends of mine who work for Captain Starlight, the Starlight Foundation, and I'm sure it's tough work, but it's also performance work, it's rewarding work. They work with sick children and help critically ill children smile and enjoy whatever their condition is. That could be considered a day job to them, but I think to them it's so rewarding and in their wheelhouse of skills that it's not the same as when they worked at clothing stores, which I'm sure they didn't hate, but I mean, hey, wouldn't you prefer to do something that's utilizing the skills that you'd learned how to do, that you like doing, especially in that environment, helping kids out? Come on, I'm getting attacked by mosquitoes. I'm gonna go. Did it. We did it. Availability. You're gonna have a million people asking you when you can be somewhere, and everyone wants you to be available at all times. And quite frankly, you're the same. You're just asking yourself that question. Like we said earlier, organization and scheduling is key. Those calendars are great. I would also recommend that you schedule in travel time so that you're not late for things, so that you create a bad impression for people. Know how long it's going to take you to get places. Put that little buffer zone in mind, because it'll help you in the long run. If there is a way that you can knuckle down and work maybe 2-3 weeks, maybe a month, maybe 2 months, maybe a couple of days, depends on what it is, to make enough money to last you a week or two of freedom, that might be an option. Again, as we talked about, finding time in the morning or the evening or around your work, and be honest about how much time you have. Don't try and people please people and then shoot yourself in the foot later for not having enough time. You're gonna regret it. And people don't want to hear, yes, I can do this, and then later on, actually, because that's worse than saying no, in my opinion. Here's a dog. I just realized I probably spent most of what I was just talking about sounding like thinking that I'm some kind of guru, and I'm not. What my experience of working multiple jobs that aren't even the thing that I'm trying to make my main job has been, one, it's been tricky. It's been difficult to schedule and organize and be available and take opportunities when there are obligations that need to be met. Most of those financial, most of those just rent and groceries and bills and things like that, and also having enough time to get to these places or have it be worthwhile, to get enough sleep, to get rest in, which hasn't been as big a problem lately, but those are genuine concerns and things to keep in mind. My experience has been that 2 day jobs plus the thing that you want to be your passion job, whatever you want it, however you word it, has been probably the maximum kind of thing that I would do. I would either quit one of them, which I think I probably should for my own sake, quit one of them and spend the rest of my free time working like hell on stuff like this, or on my own development and everything like that. What else could I be doing instead is focusing, like I talked about, having something that's as close to this as possible, but maybe just a little lateral. Teaching, coaching. I think that this is even that. I don't think I'm going to make any money on this, but it's fun and it's enjoyable, and it's teaching me a lot about my medium. It's weird because like I'm an actor, and on camera acting I feel a lot more comfortable than I do just doing this. It feels kind of strange, and that's fine. It's new to me. It's been my experience as well that, and quite rightly so, that whoever is in charge of something wants you to be fully invested in that thing, and quite frankly I think that that's the right attitude they should have. If you work a retail job or something to that effect, it's kind of understandable that you should be quite available for that if you're gonna be paid by them and do work with them. Similarly, if you're going to be doing a project that, although you talk about it, you are available to do it, otherwise you probably shouldn't do it. And that doesn't mean because you're in another country, that's obvious, but I mean, like, if you know that you're low on money and you have to work your ass off at your day job to pay for groceries and bills for the next few months, then you might have to suck it up and not be able to go and spend 3 weeks away filming, which sucks. Or vice versa, your employer might have to, understand that if you're a casual employee, that means you're casually employed and there are certain perks to that for you, and that you need to take a week off to shoot a movie. But as long as you're responsible, as long as you're disciplined with your time and honest about all of these things to everyone in the most appropriate way possible, I think that you can still come out on top. I think that you have to be very self-aware and very aware of your time, as I've said. That's the main thing, because that's going to be your main resource that's running thin, time. Thanks very much for watching this sort of long chat vlog, whatever the hell this is. I'm still figuring this out and it's super fun. Maybe that's the message to take away. Try new things in your free time. Thanks again for watching this, whatever this was. I am Matthew James French. I'm an actor, writer, musician, and super amateur vlogger apparently, living in Brisbane, Australia. If you liked this video, click that old like button and subscribe to the channel. We've got more videos like this coming, episodes of the Mostly Professional podcast, music. You can follow me on social media. My Instagram is @MatthewJamesFrench and @PrettyDecentProductions. My website, MatthewJamesFrench.com. SoundCloud is @Maciek All of this information will be on the screen in a moment and down below in the description. I hope you have a stellar day. I hope you work hard and I hope you work smart. Take care.